My name is Thea Eleanor. I'm 22 years old. Sometimes I didn't think I would ever get this far in life to introduce myself like this to anyone. I still don't, because usually I would say, I'm Thea, president of the student council body, or I'm Representative Thea, the spirit representative of the King's Council, or I'm the enlightened speaker of the spirits, using the title I earned after years of serving Celevora Kingdom alongside my partner. Looking down at Justin, my best friend, the star-blessed prodigy of the kingdom, the hero who would purge the evil out of our home side by side with his partner, I realized I didn't get this far in life as Thea Eleanor. He coughs up blood as he clutches his stomach. He is still standing, which I can't help but admire. He had always been the better one out of two of us. Glancing up, he glares at me with hatred built up over half a decade. His wood spirit, Vanilla, flickering behind him as she fades. How can you work for the demon, Dia? What is she offering to kill me? Why, when you should know better than anyone else how important loyalty is? After all these years, why can you choose? How do you choose to betray us? I sigh. You seem to have misunderstood something, Justin. You're bright, but I guess even the best of the best would be in denial when they abruptly find their best friend doing the demon's bidding in the dead of night. I slip my brass knuckles off and let them drop onto the rooftop. Justin flinches at the loud metallic clatter. The wind blows the leaves of fall up onto the roof as I unsheath my saber. This was supposed to be a smooth expedition, but I suppose not. I raised the blade over my head. You see, Justin Trelawn, the problem with that assumption, and with your question, is that I'm not working for the Blood Moon Demon. Justin steps back. Not that he can go far. Rather than anger, fear and betrayal appears in his eyes. No, Thea, are you telling me? You know the answer to that. I step forward, though I could still reach him regardless. I am the Blood Moon Demon, Justin. I bring the saber down, and Justin falls backward, tipping off the side of the building, lifeless. I look at the blood on my hands. The moon is, as always, red, which only paints the rest of my hands the same color. There isn't a single spot on me not tainted with it. Dropping my saber, I turn away from the edge of the roof. Half a dozen spirits, cloaked in the red light, float in front of me, half transparent. Their shimmery forms, with wavering outlines that make them their elements apparent, they glow in the night. One of them grabs my shaking hands. It's a wordless gesture. This fire spirit, Clementine, he likes to be called, uh, likes to comfort me in particular, though he isn't a spirit of many words. He shakes his hood off to look at me properly. The water spirit of the group, Dragon, nods their head and says, "Let's get you home." Thea! Thea! My older sister, Helen, bursts into my room, worry written all over her face. It's barely morning, the sun peeking over the horizon. The sky outside the window are gray, with streaks of gold. I open my eyes groggily. Clementine is sitting next to my head, watching me with concern. Dragon sits at the foot of my bed and stares at Helen impassively before going back to flipping their coin endlessly over and over. The other spirits are outside, patrolling. Justin is dead. The demon killed him last night. I shoot out of bed, staring and wide-eyed. What? Helen runs over to me, gently nudges Clementine aside, who shoots her a sharp look that is not received but doesn't protest, and wraps me in a hug. I don't move to recuperate it. I'm frozen like a statue, even though Snowflake the ice spirit is nowhere to be seen. I can feel tears tracing their way down my cheeks, and I feel my body shaking. I close my eyes. No. Helen's voice is muffled against my nightshirt. Shh, Dia. The demon's minion, that wretched necromancer, announced it to the entire kingdom this early morning. I'm glad you weren't here. We weren't there to hear it. I, I was, I was sent to investigate right away. I saw him myself. He's gone. He died while fighting the demon. The tears pour down like waterfalls, and I bury my face into her shoulder, full on sobbing. This is my fault, I mutter. This is all my fault. Thea, don't speak nonsense. I stay silent. When these things happen, the tears are never fake, and my pain is never fake, nor is my guilt. You know what this means, right? Helen asks. She pulls back, keeping her hands on my shoulders, her own eyes red and puffy. You know how I hate asking this of people, but you're his partner and you do nothing wrong, sis. I reassure her. I take a shuddering breath. I'll do it. Of course I will. I'm the only one who can. Helen nods. Justin, we found something on his body. An essence bottle. He must have filled it just before he died. It's already being examined, so we'll have found a match before noon. It might be a lead. Right now, let's get you ready. I wipe the tears off my face and stand up along with Helen. Okay, let's go do that. After breakfast, I stand in the bathroom, looking at the sink as the water runs down and into the drain. I don't think about anything. Clementine is in there with me, a hand threading through my long white hair. He's always the most affectionate. After a long moment of silence, he finally speaks. Thea. When I ignore him, he turns off the faucet and puts both hands on my shoulders, turning me around to face him. Thea, the plan is flawless. You'll be fine. I laugh half-heartedly. I know that we both know I won't be. But then again, that's just the fate of things. I can't do anything about it other than go out the way I planned to. I put a hand on his bicep and lean into him, my laughter turning into tears as my body shakes with each heaving breath. On one inhale, I feel a sharp pain in my chest. I cough, and again, until I double down and sit on the bathroom floor, curled up in a ball. Clementine immediately sits down beside me and pulls me close, arms around my shoulders. Dragon! Clementine shouts, and even though he's yelling, it sounds unnaturally quiet, given it's coming from him. Dragon immediately appears, phasing through the door. They frown. Again? This is the 5th time this week. They crouch and rest their hand on my hand. Clementine does the same, next to theirs. Instantly, a warm, fiery sensation rushed through my veins, temporarily cleansing my pain, then replaced by a cool rush of water. Hey, Thea, Dragon says, removing their hand. How are you feeling? I shake my head. The usual, and I thought I said no phasing without knocking under normal circumstances. What was that, Dragon? The water spirit looked sheepish, and their shimmering blue robe swishing as they stand and turn toward the door. It's not like anyone except you ever cares, now that you're the last person in Selenfora who can summon us spirits. They leave the bathroom, phasing once again, before I can chide her. Not that I would have. I collapse against Clementine, who wraps me in an embrace. He takes off his hat and puts it on my head. The warmth of the flames provides comfort while preventing me from getting burned. It's what makes spirits so special. They have complete control over their element. So it's a shame that for years, Salafora had only a few dozen people with spiritual resonance, the ability that defines someone's ability to bond with spirits, and less than a handful who can summon them. Only 2 had been able to truly communicate and talk with them without a ritual, and have the power to wield their elements to their full potential. But now, there's only 1. I still ask myself, I murmur, feeling the warm, harmless flames flicker before my eyes on the wide brim of the hat. Why I'm doing this? I'm going to die to it ineluctable anyway. I know. But to kill Justin as well? Clementine hums. It's necessary, because what happened 10 years ago? We all know it. 10 years ago, a war ravaged the kingdom. A neighboring kingdom's princess had a scandal with the current king's brother. Bloodshed was unavoidable, but it scaled to such a degree that Selenphora fell to a new low, and in the latter half of the war, everyone was too afraid, too powerless to continue it. The royal family had lost hope and surrendered. 10 years later, everyone in the kingdom was still feeling the crippling hopelessness that hardly anyone stood up to the demon, accepting it as their fate. Just then, Snowflake phases through the door with a flourish of her dress. She freezes when she sees me and Clementine. Am I, interrupting something? No, I insist, taking a deep breath. The copying doesn't start up again, and so I stand. Clementine follows, hands still on my arms, as if to steady me. What is it, Snowflake? You have your report? She raises an eyebrow at me and Clementine. Yes, I did a scour of Selenphora and asked some of my informants. The examination for the essence has been completed. It's from the demon's right-hand spirit. This is causing commotion in every town, and the capital is in chaos. Everyone is gathering for war against the demon. The royal army is larger than ever. It's amazing how Justin's sacrifice, turning him into a murderer, caused everyone to suddenly work together. I nod. Good, then it's going according to plan. Snowflake nods back. I'll prepare things on our side. I step forward and grab her arm before she can phase through the wall again. Wait, arrange a meeting with everyone first. She snorts. Leah, we've all talked about this amongst ourselves. She turns and clasps my hand in her cold ones. We're doing this. That's final. It's not like we can fully die, so just rest until it's your time to shine. Patting my hand, she lets go and turns around again. Then she pauses. Oh, is your clone already at the hideout? I close my eyes and feel for the pseudo-Dia. My senses split in half as I see and feel myself both in the bathroom and in another room, a cottage in the middle of nature. I open my eyes. I'm there. Get everyone ready. Snowflake smiles softly. Alright, I'll see you soon. As she leaves, Clementine moves to stand in front of me. He adjusts his glasses. 5 years of planning for a better future. For a kingdom that can defend itself. For a kingdom full of hope. Are you ready? I breathe out. Then I look up into his red eyes with my blue ones. As ready as I'll ever be. Walking up and down the short row of knights on horseback, next to the royal captain, I have only a foot in this reality, while the other is in Pseudothea, or the demon. I do mental checks as the demon walk around, checking that everyone can see themselves well, though that now that Justin is gone, no one will be able to recognize the difference between two different fire spirits. And since everyone will be too busy with the necromancer, the shade, and the demon herself, I don't have to worry about anyone realizing the demon is missing a few spirits, or has different ones. The knights are exceptional in the army. I had requested only the best of the best when the king formally declared war on the demon earlier in the day, and stopped ignoring the people's demands to cease cowering inside his grand castle due to Justin's sacrifice. He had provided me full support of the military, and I can tell that knights chosen are skilled in spiritual summoning and wielding their powers, as well as their own abilities. They are a match for the Shade and the Necromancer. If they had gotten together earlier, instead of being forced to obey the king and lay low, countless deaths could have been avoided. I shake my head and turn my attention back to the knights. We will smoke out the demon and her minions and slay them once and for all, the captain is shouting. He holds up his sword where flames ignite along the blade, like a mighty torch, his eyes glowing as he draws upon the spirit's power. For justice! The knights all hold up their own swords, coated with various elements. For justice! The captain turns his steed around toward a large field where I led them using the essence of one of the demon's spirits. I, the only one on foot, and I unsheath my saber as the wind picks up around me. In the distance, a dark cloud is gathering, and underneath are the dark shapes of the demon and her subjects. Avenge the prodigy, the captain shouts. The enlightened speaker is backing us. Do not back down. Charge! The shouting and yelling, the knights gallop forward, the captain in the lead, 24 men and women, the spirits following beside them as they draw on their power. I fly beside them, boosted by the wind. I exhale and feel myself as the demon on the other side of the field. I, the demon, start towards the galloping shapes in the distance, the shade on my right, the necromancer on my left. My features are covered completely. Go, I whispered to the two. Kill them all. The necromancer grins, and the shade disappears into a cloud of darkness. The ground cracks beneath our feet, and animals, mice, jackalopes, eagles, tigers, elephants, a few humans, and everything in between, appear out of them, rising from the dead, shrouded in dark auras. At the necromancer's cry, they ran or took to the skies. The afternoon turns dark as the sunlight is blocked by the shade's power. But then I call on Clementine and slash the air in front of me. A blinding arc of fire appears, extinguishing the countless creatures that tried to attack me in the dark. The surrounding area lights up instantly, illuminating the enemy. I push forward, my flames lighting up the night-like sky. The knights are doing well that below, charging across the field on horseback, slashing and stabbing. The shade appears and starts fighting them himself, but with the combined efforts of the knights, spirits, and abilities, he was almost no match for them. Then the necromancer summons a horse and heads to help a shade. I drop from the sky and land unharmed in the grass, then lighting them on fire as dead creatures scatter my way. I look up and see my clone, the demon, with the glow of dozens of spirits surrounding her. I summon Snowflake's power, as well as dandelions, the wind picking up. My saber glows with bright flames. I also see the enlightened speaker. Her eyes glow in the same shade of blue as me, a kaleidoscope of colors in her aura. I flex my fingers, which warm my brass knuckles, as the speaker's free hand is encased in frost. I call upon dragon, and rain begin pouring down from clouds above. I'll keep the nights too occupied to look closely. Dragon whispers in my ears. End this with a bang. I nod, both versions of me, and we charge at each other. My name is Helen Eleanor. I'm 26 years old, and I hate my sister. Don't get me wrong, I love her. I love her to bits, and she is the most precious thing that could ever happen to me. But when news arrived from the Knights, 2/3 of the original force having survived, that Thea is dead, I hated her more than anything in the world. My lightning spirit, Spark, tried to provide me comfort, but I couldn't hear what she had said. I couldn't understand her, unlike Thea. I couldn't bear to see any spirits for days because all I could think of was Thea. It was an epic showdown, the captain had said at the victory banquet. The sky flashing with lights, the air alive with the elements. The enlightened speaker and the blood moon demon going at it, neither holding back. We could not get a close look, but the end result was clear. We had won, but not without sacrifice. Sylvanthora grieved for months after the death of both Justin and Thea, the prodigy and the speaker. It was a bittersweet period for the entire year. I was given a position on the King's Council, and so was Justin's brother, to compensate for our losses. I hated Thea for doing this to me. I hated the demon for taking her away. I hated the spirits for not being able to protect her. I hated everything for a long while. But life moves on. Something happened to the king. Perhaps it was the guilt of having let his subjects suffer for so long, and not doing anything. Perhaps it was the grief of letting his closest advisors, people on his very council, die. He started a rehabilitation center for those injured by the demon in her pawns. He strengthened the training curriculum for the future knights and listened to my suggestions to help the common people discover their abilities and their spiritual resonance. The people of the kingdom also changed. Everyone started a new annual 2-day holiday to both grieve for the deaths of Justin and Thea and to celebrate the defeat of the demon and a new hope for Sylvanthora. They started reformations in the towns and cities. The economy soared. I sometimes still can't believe it. Sometimes I still burst into Thea's room, shouting at her with delight to wake up, because it's the days of remembrance and reminiscence. That's what happened today. Instead of seeing my younger sister sit up in bed, always the lazy one in the morning, I'm greeted with an empty room where I clean every week, making sure it's still in the same state as it had when she was here. It still hurts, even after 5 years. I stare at the empty space before closing the door again, turning away. The rest of the morning is a blur. Every year, on the 2 days of remembrance and reminiscence, I would make Thea's favorite breakfast, set aside a plate for her, and leave for work, telling the empty house goodbye. This time, I get a letter from Adam Trelawn, Justin's older brother. Spark sweeps into the room and hands it to me, with movements that clearly indicate excitement, even though I can't properly communicate with her. I stare at the contents of the letter and stand up in excitement. For once, I don't make Thea's breakfast. For once, I don't set the table for two, instead, just for one. For once, I don't tell the empty house goodbye as I run out the door, down the streets decorated with lanterns and candles. I run past people handing each other vanilla clementine pie, past the spirits waving their elements in the sky, creating beautiful, gentle patterns in the sunlight. I meet Adam as the ceremony starts and smile brightly. He smiles back. Maybe things won't be so bad. The kingdom has been ascending in power, strength, and prosperity. Maybe I should just enjoy this while I can. 7 years after the defeat of the Blood Moon Demon, the Nether Kingdom reigned war on Selenfora. Armed with hopes and a new army, they didn't stand a chance. Even if the hopes were augmented, staged, and faked, it was a hope that cannot be broken. And it was a hope that would stay with Selenfora until the end of the kingdom.